Sudan. In recent years, Iowa, like many states, has increasingly become home for hundreds, if not thousands, of asylum seekers from the countries of Central America's Northern Triangle, Guatemala, El Salvador, and Honduras, considered one of the most dangerous areas to live in the world, but not officially designated by the United States as refugee nations. Asylum seekers from the Northern Triangle are currently sent back to Guatemala to the dangerous, unstable conditions that forced them to flee in the first place. Since the passage of the Refugee Act of 1980, the numbers of legally sanctioned refugees admitted into the United States has dropped precipitously, from 200,000 to 22,500 in 2018. Yet the number of asylum seekers and economic migrants fleeing violence and the related political and economic instability continues to rise. The United States sees in particular women and children from Central America's Northern Triangle. In the United States and Corn Belt states, Sudanese and Congolese, officially granted refugee status, and Central Americans, officially considered economic migrants and asylum seekers, all want better lives for their children. All of these women, men, and children are refugees and are seeking refuge in the United States from the economic, political, and physical violence that harmed them in their countries. They find their way to Midwestern states like Iowa, where expansive land, jobs, and safety for their children beckon. In Meatpacking America, I refer to all of the brown and black women and men who come to America for a better life as refugees, whether or not they have officially been granted the status of refugee by the U.S. government. The reality is that all of these women and men, all of them, are fleeing violence of some sort and yearn to live, work, and raise their families in peace. The parsing of their experiences and circumstances by U.S. immigration law operates at the whims of those in charge of government, and as such is a flawed, inadequate system. The women and men whose stories fill the pages of this book have suffered greatly and are victims of every sort of violence imaginable. These are women who have been raped by authority figures in their homes and abused by their husbands who have threatened to kill them. These are children who are stalked and recruited by violent gangs, and families who are starving because there are no jobs available. These are men who cannot find work and who refuse to work for gangs. I want to make it crystal clear for the listener that the women, men, and children I have spent time with for the research and writing of this book did not simply want to leave their home countries. They had to, or they would die. All of the migrants in this book have sought safety from persecution based on their religion, race, gender, nationality, politics, or social group, whether they meet the official U.S. designation as a refugee or not. They are all de facto, if not de jure, refugees. The Corn Belt state of Iowa has a unique history of welcoming refugees. Republican Governor Robert Ray advocated for group resettlement and refugee status for the Vietnamese Thai Dam boat people in the mid-1970s, the only U.S. governor to take such action. Executive approval from President Gerald Ford for Thai Dam resettlement in Iowa paved the way for an increased cap in the number of refugees to the United States and for the President Carter-penned Refugee Act of 1980. Ray, with the support of hundreds of Iowans, established the humanitarian Iowa Shares program, standing for Iowa Sends Help to Aid Refugees and End Starvation, and during his 5-term governorship, put Iowa on the map as a state where politicians, residents, and religious organizations could come together to support asylum seekers and refugees. When we fast forward to today's U.S. political climate, it is difficult to imagine politicians and regular citizens coming together to support broad, migration-related initiatives. A cursory glance at social media sites seems to unearth more discord than accord.